Jesus? Who is that? I'm laying on the ground like this. I cut everyone off from that church. I'm gonna cry. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my podcast, Young and Faithful. Today we are here from the comfort of my living room in Charlottetown, PI, with a beautiful. Not really, it's not that beautiful. That's why I'm inside because it's like so gloomy and cold outside, and it's like the end of March, and it's supposed to be spring already, and it isn't. And I'm so sorry if I'm like shouting at you. I'm really not trying to do that today. Yeah, I hope that works. Okay, let's get into it. So my name is Ruth, and as I said earlier, I'm 25 years old. I'm currently on my last year of university and last semester of university. I'm originally from Panama. I moved to Canada 4 years ago, and I just can't believe I'm at the end of this university journey. The reason, let me grab my computer and excuse my cat. Her name is Lechuga. I adopted her what 2 years ago. She's a barn cat, and lechuga means lettuce in Spanish. And if you are not watching on YouTube, my cat is literally walking behind me. That's just her personality. He just gets into everything where no one actually call her. This podcast, why? What is it that you're gonna be posting here? I created this podcast with the purpose of giving a voice or a platform to young Christians like me. I just want people to come in here and tell their stories. I want them to tell how God saved their lives, how they are living as a young Christian in this crazy world. Because if you guys don't know, if you haven't heard in the news, my generation Z, it's like turning back to Christianity, turning back to religions, turning back to God. We are seeing more and more people in their 20s giving their lives to Jesus, changing their life, realizing that they just can't do it by themselves, realizing that there is something else, and finding Jesus. I don't know. I want to reach other ears, and let's see what happens. That's the power of the internet. But most importantly, I want this podcast to be relatable. I want people to hear someone else's story, someone that is not famous, someone that is not a Christian influencer, someone that is not like a pastor or a public figure. I want a normal person, follower of Christ, that can share a story that many others online will resonate with, will relate with. Because there's nothing better than seeing someone like you that already went through what you're going through, because it gives you a sense of like hope. It gives you hope that if they did it, then you can do it as well. Okay, now that we are done with this long introduction, I want to tell you my testimony. Let me get comfortable here. Let me get up some water. As I said earlier, I was born in Panama City, which is a predominantly Catholic country. Catholicism is very involved in the government, in the country's festivities and holidays, in the culture itself. The whole idea of the church and Christianism is very, very embedded. I grew up going to the church. I grew up going to the Catholic church. I was baptized as a baby. I did my first communion, and then I did my confirmation of my faith when I was like 15. I I was at church every Saturday and every Sunday. I was a very active I was a very active teenager at church. And when you hear this, you might be thinking like, "Oh, well, yeah, she was a very good kid." Well, maybe, but not really. My parents gave me the privilege of attending a private school, which was a Protestant Methodist school. Therefore, I remember being that kid that will go like against the teachings they had in that school because I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic. Well, yeah, I missed a very important point. So, which is very interesting. My mom is Catholic and my dad is Protestant. Till today, they are still married after 20 plus years. And that I grew up under that dynamic, right? So my mom used to take me to church. Sometimes my dad used to go as well. I remember that when I was in my teens, I was very into trying to convert people or showing that I was Christian. I will wear like a cross or a whole rosary, or I will invite my friends to church, but not in a sense of like, I want you to convert or I want you to see what I believe. No, it was more of like, come to church to hang out. Like, it's super cool. It's the coolest place to be at. Or more of like, yeah, come to church, join my team, join my group, so I can like, so that the group can grow, and then just hang out after the service or hang out after the mass, hang out after the events, or just come to the events. They are so cool, they are so fun. And when you're in your teens and you're a girl, you're, well, I'm generalizing, but I was just looking for boys, to be honest. I was just looking for other boys. Even though it was church, even though there were church activities for young kids like me, they were not the best kids. My neighborhood wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't the most safe one. And there were a lot of differences on education, on family dynamics. So church was like a melting pot of like all different backgrounds. I remember that we will go to the church activities, and then there was a party. We will go to a party after the service. We will go to a quinceaños. We will dance, we will drink, we will just do the craziest things, but we wouldn't feel that it was wrong. Like, well, I don't want to talk for everyone else, but I didn't feel it was wrong. I just felt it was cool. I just felt that's what I was supposed to be doing, right? Everyone else is doing it. Like, I'm young. Like, what do you mean? Like, this is fine. It's fine that I'm just here going to church because I like this guy, or because he's handsome and he's cute, or because my friends are here, not because of Jesus. Jesus, who is that? I went to so many retreats. There was this one retreat. I believe it was 2013 or 2014. It's a very big event in the Catholic Church in Panama. So I remember going there and it was like amazing. It was the best experience. It was like a party, but for Christ. And I was very proud of attending that. I remember I even, the first time I went, I even was interviewed on the TV, in the national TV, um, asking me questions on my experience there. And before that interview, I had like the weirdest experience that till today I remember that. And I asked the people that were with me right there, and they don't remember. They don't remember. So I don't know if this actually happened or if I made it up. What happened is that I was worshiping, we were praising, we were in this moment of like calling the Holy Spirit, calling Jesus to touch your hearts, calling Jesus to change your lives, with my eyes closed and my hands up. My hands were frozen like this, and out of a sudden I fall, like I fall down on the floor, and my hands are frozen like this. I'm laying on the ground like this. My hands are like this. My eyes are open. I cannot move my body. I cannot move my hands. But I don't understand what just happened to me. I'm on the ground. After that, they took me to like an emergency, like an ambulance kind of thing, just to, like. But I was recovered after that. Like, I was just fine. Like, nothing happened. And I kind of felt like God literally touched me. And no one sat down with me and told me what just happened. No one said, "Hey Ruth, how are you feeling now? This is what that meant," or "This is how you're gonna feel from now on," or "This is how to deal with now the enemy is gonna attack you." No one told me anything. I just had that experience. I went to the ambulance thing. I recovered myself, and like after 30 minutes, then I continue with the whole retreat experience, and I just have that in the back of my mind till today, though. After that experience, I remember I started wearing my rosary, and but that was it. I was just showing that I was a Christian, and I was just showing that I believed in God, but I wasn't acting like that, if that makes sense. Not reading the Bible at all, praying sometimes here and there, but not a truly commitment. No, when I turned 17, I got into a relationship that lasted 5 years. That relationship, the guy that I was dating, he was not a church attendant, a regular church attendant, or his family. Since I was dating him, I just said, okay, I'm not going to church either. So I stopped going completely. I cut everyone off from that church. I stopped talking to everybody, and I just forgot about church, forgot for completely. And so I just stopped going. I kind of used to talk to God every time I was sad, every time something was not going the way I wanted, or like every time these things were not good. Then when I turned 20, I ended this relationship. Then I made the decision to move to Canada to like find a way to study here. And my English was bad. I didn't have money. I didn't know how to apply for a visa to study in Canada. Like no one in my family have ever done that before. So I just researched it. I figured it out. I started to like fill out the forms. I did it all by myself. No one helped me to do this Canadian student visa application. I did it myself. Well, not myself, with the help of God. Now that I look at it, now that I look back, it's like I wasn't doing that by myself. He was definitely putting his hand in it. I researched it so much, and I did the application. And this was during COVID, so it was like very uncertain times. I just didn't know when it was gonna come through, and I was so scared because I was like, I'm already 20. I'm supposed to be finishing university by now. When I graduate, if this visa doesn't come through until like next year, I'm gonna be 26 when I graduate. And at the time when I was 20, I was thinking about it. I was like, I'm gonna be 25. I'm gonna be so old. I'm gonna be among all those little youngsters, and I'm gonna be the only one that's 25. That's so embarrassing. I remember I used to feel so disappointed that I was kind of like behind, that I was starting this so late. But little did I know. Little did I know. But anyways, um, so I did the application. I did the visa application. I applied for UPI. Um, I got conditionally accepted because I had to do an English proficiency test, which I did all the English proficiency tests available, and I didn't pass any of them. One thing. Then my mom didn't have enough money to prove that she could sustain me while I was in Canada. So I had to apply for a loan with the Panamanian government, which was another pain. It was so hard to get. I cried so many times. At the end, I got it, but yeah, anyways, it wasn't like the best experience. And then I remember that I started to pray again. After so long, I started to pray every night until that visa got approved. I used to pray, God, if you give me this visa, I'm gonna go back to church. I promise you, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna cry. I'm tearing up. I remember I told him, I'm gonna go back to church if you give me this visa. And at the time, I was thinking, I'm gonna go to a Catholic church there. I will find a Catholic church, that's for sure. So I started to memorize the Lord's Prayer in English and other Catholic prayers that I don't, I actually wasn't able to memorize. So then I did like an English test, English proficiency test with UPEI directly with the university without any other like external examinators, and I passed it. I passed the English test. Guys, my English was terrible and I passed it. I still think about it and it's like that was a miracle. Then my visa gets approved. I come to Canada and I forgot about the promise I made to God. I forgot that I said that I was gonna go back to church. Of course, like I was so excited, I was alone here, a new place, new life, new things. So I got distracted. I started to live life and just to discover all the new things that were available to me at the time. And then one day at university, and I walk into a room where a girl is playing the piano. And I ask her, "Hey, can I have my breakfast here?" And she says, "Oh, yeah, sure. You can have your breakfast." So I started eating. She starts playing the piano. And then when she's done, I stopped and I told her like, "Wow, that was so good. You're so good at that. That was amazing." And she's like, "Thank you, thank you. What's your name?" And I said, "My name is Ruth." And she's like, "Ruth, you're Christian." He didn't ask me, "Are you Christian?" He said, "You're Christian." And I was like, "Whoa, hold on." No one in my life have ever associated my name with the fact that that was my religion. As I said earlier in the context, coming from a country that is predominantly Catholic, that was never a question. Like, it's like, of course, everyone here believes. That was the idea back home. So here, when she tells me that, I was like, yeah. And she then proceeds to invite me to her church and proceeds to offer me a ride to church on Sunday, which she did. Her and her boyfriend, now husband, picked me up at my house and drove me to church. Ever since that day, I have never stopped going to that church. But that doesn't mean that when I started going to that church that I was doing everything right, that I was already committed to walking with Christ. The reality is that I just didn't know. I just didn't know God. I just didn't know who He was. And this is something that no one can tell you. This is something that you have to experience yourself. And it took a good amount of years. It took a lot of mistakes. It took a lot of tears, a lot of crying, a lot of like confusion, questions, doubts. I failed so many times. My feelings were hurt so many times. But then, so yeah, I was just basically going to church, being a hypocrite, going to church, and then just living a life of sin, just living like a hidden life of sin at night. What the Bible says, nothing good happens in the dark. I was just at night, just being that completely opposite person, completely different person that you couldn't believe that she was going to church the next day. I will literally get home at 4 a.m., sleep for like 3 hours, and then go to church with a smile. The most hypocrite thing, but I was doing that. I dated a guy where we were living in sin, which was not the right thing to do. No one told me anything. I kind of feel that maybe someone tried to say something, but they just didn't know how to. And I was just blinded. I was just blinded. And that's the thing, when you're blind, like there's no way someone can convince you of something that you are not seeing. Like you have to see it for yourself. Like you have to see that you're all covered in mud so that you can acknowledge that you are wrong. You are doing wrong. So again, started this relationship where we were living in sin. It was the most toxic, unhealthy relationship on both sides. And it was because we both didn't know Christ. So yes, that didn't work. After that relationship, I kind of started to like try to get right with God. Try to do things right, try to like read the Bible, try to just change and be more righteous. But still I wasn't fully committed. And I remember there were many times in my church that they will ask like, no, if you want to get baptized, we're gonna be baptizing, blah 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 blah. And I will always think like, how am I gonna get baptized? Like I was already baptized as a baby. Now I'm attending this church that is not Catholic. I don't consider myself a Catholic anymore. But like why would I get baptized? Like no. I used to criticize the people that used to do that. I just kept like pushing it away and ignoring the fact that they were offering that. Up until last year, when they suggested that at church again. This time, there was this specific day at church where, for some reason, they were asking if someone needed prayer. I was sitting next to a lady named Margie, and Margie said, "Oh, yeah, she needs prayer. Let's pray for her. She's a new believer." And I was like, "Margie, why? Why are you doing this?" So, anyways, my pastor's wife, Joy Luke, she comes and she prays for me and she does this on my ears. She covers my ears like this and she's like, God, open her ears so that she can hear your voice. That's what she said. I cried during that prayer, but I just didn't know what that meant. I was like, maybe it's because God is trying to take me somewhere, or, other things. At the time, I was thriving in my career. I had this amazing job. I would like work extra hours without pay. I will just go to all these amazing events, travel for work. It was just incredible, incredible, and still till today I'm very thankful and grateful for that. But I kind of put that as an idol. I i really 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 was living for my job. But anyways, after that, then the service is over. On that same day the service is over, and then this other pastor, a different pastor, he comes to me and he's like, Ruth, I have to tell you something. I feel like God is telling me that you have to get baptized. And I was just pray over for God to open my ears. I heard that and I was like, okay. I didn't say okay. I said, okay, no, no, no. Let me think about it. That's crazy. What do you mean you have to get baptized? Let me think about it. Let me think about it. I will think about it. That's what I said to him. And I did think about it. Like that was in my brain. That was in my mind 24/7, 24/7. I was struggling with that. I wanted, but I didn't want it. I wasn't sure, but I was sure. At the end, I kind of talked about it with my dad, and my dad said, yes, go ahead, do it. There's nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and do it. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. But then I was like, Dad, my mom is gonna be so mad because my mom is Catholic, you know. She's gonna be upset. Like, how am I gonna do this to her? She she introduced me to her religion, and I'm just like just abandoning it. This is what she taught me, and I'm not following it. I'm just going on my own path. I was thinking it was more of like, wow, my mom is gonna be so mad. Anyways, and my dad was like, you're right. I will talk to her. I will talk to her for you. He didn't. Like he got busy and I couldn't wait until he was available to talk to her. So I just called my mom. I was like, Mom, I wanna do this. Um and I know you're gonna get so mad, but I really wanna do this. And she said, why would I get mad? I am so happy for you. I am so happy that you want to do this commitment. And I am so happy that you love God so much that you want to give Him your life again. And then I can't even, I still remember how I felt so much peace. I was like, okay, this is it. Right away after I hung up that call with her, I went and I told um, my pastor wife, and they just started the whole process so I could get baptized as soon as possible because it was already September and it was gonna get cold, right? Anyways, then my pastor he texted me asking, so Ruth, there are two upcoming Sundays before it gets colder. Which one would you like, the 15 or the 20 something? I was like, oh my God, the 15 is so soon. The other one is like feels like too far away. Which one do you want me to choose? I was praying and praying and praying. Till today, I still remember I opened my Bible and it was John 15, and I read the part that it says like, you didn't choose me, I chose you, for I appointed you to go and produce lasting fruit, and so that whatever you ask to the Father using my name, He will give it to you. So that's the verse that I saw, and I was like, okay, this is it. He chose me. He chose this date for me, and I'm gonna get baptized on September 15th, and that's exactly what happened. I got baptized on September 15th of 2024. I rededicated my life to Christ. And I still remember that I felt like a new person. I was like, I can't believe I just did that. At the time I had already met, oh, welcome. But at the time I had already met my fiance through an, and we will make a whole episode about our love story. But at the time, you know, before meeting him, I just didn't know. I just didn't feel I was worth of being loved. I just didn't, because of all my past. I felt that no one was gonna ever accept me with all my baggage. And then I learned that it was just God was just keeping me hidden. He had so much for me in store, and it was just a fact of me understanding that he is and was the main thing in my life, and that I had to love him first in order for him to give me the opportunity to meet my forever person here on earth. So it was a lot of self discovery, self acceptance, self love, a lot of a lot of getting to know God, a lot of internal work and external work, because I just didn't like myself. I didn't like all the things I used to do, so I had to forgive myself and understand that my past was way past gone, and that God didn't care about the things I used to do, about the things I did in the past, and that I also had to repent. I had to repent, ask for forgiveness, not only to myself but to Him, and just understand that He died for me and that He is the person that will love me the most in this whole world. And then I was able to meet my now fiance. That still till today I'm just amazed of how much God loved me through him. Like God shows me his love through him as well. And it's just the most beautiful thing. I'm so proud and grateful of this relationship. Is a gift. It's a gift, and you guys will meet him in the next episode. He tells a little bit about our story at the end of his testimony, because it's just a big part of our lives. Like, we just didn't know it was gonna be this way, this glorious, amazing way. God is making it happen, and I am so relieved that I was able to just share this finally with so many of you, and I hope this resonates with someone. So here I am, 4 years later, 25 years old, about to have my first degree, with my future husband, with an English that I still cannot believe I can talk like this straight up for 40 plus minutes, with a beautiful cat. I'm just so fulfilled, so grateful, so happy. But mostly because I have God, mostly because I surrender my life to Him, mostly because He's just my father, my Abba, my everything, my everything. But anyways, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you took something out of this testimony. And I really look forward to see you again in my next episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. See you next time. This was your podcast, Young and Faithful by Ruth. Bye bye.